Today is Tuesday, so we know what that means. It is the St. Anselm Coaches Show, and it's brought to you by St. Anselm College. St. Anselm College features 20 NCAA Division II programs, most of which compete in the highly competitive Northeast 10 Conference. With over 100 home events this season, there are plenty of chances to catch the Hawks in action. If you can't make it to the game, log on to StAnselmHawks.com and follow along with free live stats of every home contest. Better yet, be sure to check out StAnselmHawks.tv. Again, StAnselmHawks.tv for live video broadcasts of every football, basketball, and hockey game, as well as other select events throughout the year. Joining me now is the head football coach of the St. Anselm Hawks, Pat Murphy. Welcome back to the show, Coach.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
Thank you. Well, another competitive game that did not go your way in the end. 38-28, you fall to Bentley as the Falcons improve to undefeated status again, 5-0. Coach, I got to applaud your team for not quitting in this football game. In fact, your guys went on to score the final 13 points of the game to make it close and outscored Bentley 28-21 in the second half. The problem was 17-0 the other way in favor of Bentley in the second quarter. But are you as proud as I am of your guys for playing the full 60 minutes on Saturday?
Yeah, we competed very hard. And you said it. We made too many mistakes in the first half and both sides of the ball, and didn't put ourselves in a great position coming out of halftime. And but to the guys' credit, they came out and they bared down and they competed and they fought right to the end. And I think we took a step forward in that regard. Teams in the past that have not finished in that style here. And we're a very young team, and I think that they understand now that you got to compete and you go forward for 60 minutes and not look back, and they did a great job of that.
Your freshman quarterback, Andrew Murphy, made his first ever home start, just the second start of his career, and I thought played pretty well under the home lights. 32 of 48, a good completion percentage of 67%, nearly 300 yards, 293 to be exact, a couple of touchdown tosses, and a couple of interceptions, enough to earn him, by the way, breaking news, Northeast 10 Conference Rookie of the Week. Assess Andrew Murphy's second ever start.
Yeah, the great thing about Murph is that he's a mentally tough individual, and that's, I think, he's extremely resilient. He did not play extremely well, and I think he'll tell you that in the first half, and had a couple mistakes, one of which was a pick, and then we had a pick in the second half that they returned for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. But he bounced back, and he continued to fight and really rally the troops, and that's one of the great things about Murph is he's going to battle you. I can't say enough about his resiliency. He's a good athlete, did some excellent things with his feet the other day, and he's got a bright future.
We're speaking with head coach Pat Murphy, not to be confused with the quarterback Andrew, here on the St. A's Coaches Show, part of the Nick and Astis Show. Coach, it seemed like you found different ways to get Keith Charles involved this week. In fact, the junior co-captain had 30 rushing yards, which was a team high, and 82 receiving yards, which also led the team in that category. Was there a concentrated effort before the game to insert Charles into the game plan a little more?
Not necessarily. Keith is a very talented individual. I thought he did a great job as far as the run game the other day, and the limited opportunities we gave him. He made the most of them, particularly on the inside zone. Made the one cut, and then he's a very powerful runner, and then just dropped the hammer and had some excellent runs off the inside zone. And then he's a phenomenal athlete. Was a great high school basketball player, and has very soft hands. And they just Bentley presented opportunities for him for us to get him the ball in the passing game more than usual. He made the most of them.
Yeah, he had a long of 73 as well, and a touchdown to boot. We're speaking with Pat Murphy, head football coach of the St. Anselm Hawks, here on the St. Anselm Coaches Show, part of the Nick and Astis Show on WGAM. Justin Bernard went bananas last week in the loss against Southern Connecticut State, had a solid follow-up performance in the loss against Bentley, 9 catches, a team high, 74 yards, and was consistent at about 8 yards per grab. Talk a little bit about Bernard and his progression really from week 1 now through week 6 or 7.
Sure. Justin missed all of last year with an injury, so I think he's just starting to round into shape. Made one of the best catches I've ever seen 2 weeks in a row. Phenomenal one down at Southern in the right corner, and then of the end zone, and then again on Saturday against Bentley, again in the right corner, and 2 totally different catches, but just phenomenal to see them live and on film. And he's got great body control. I mentioned it before how physical he is as a receiver, and he's got some of the best hands I've ever seen. And he's just starting to feel like his old self again after missing all of last year.
Well, Bentley we knew was a very good offensive team and a very good defensive team as well. First of all, they had only allowed 37 points total on the season through 4 games before you faced them on Saturday. You put up nearly that many in the second half alone of 28. So let me ask you this. What makes the Falcons' defense so special, A, and B, how come you're able to put up so many points in a short amount of time against them?
Sure. I think one of the things they do a great job, first of all, they play great team defense in that they're primarily a zone team. They don't give up the big play, a lot. They're in zone. They're getting depth. They're keeping everything in front of them, and then they rally to the ball, and they're a great team, gang tackling team. They tackle well in space, and they rally up. But they do an excellent job of playing great team defense. As far as what we've done, what we did the other day, it's just a matter of our players playing. We have very talented athletes on the perimeter in our receiving core, and I think our quarterback made good decisions in the second half. Didn't force the ball. I think we were very greedy in the first half with some of the decision-making where we had underneath receivers open, and we decided to go deep, which sometimes is, the MO of young quarterbacks. Especially when they just came off a game where they threw for over 400 yards. They want it all at once. But Murph settled down, did a great job of taking what they gave him in the second half, and then his progressions in the second half led him to the deeper balls once Bentley started to clamp down on the shorter stuff. And that's the whole key for us offensively is if our quarterback is making good decisions, he doesn't have to make great decisions. If he's making good decisions, we'll move the ball, I think, on the majority of people that we're going to play, and as long as our receivers are playing well.
You're listening to the Nick and Astis Show on Sports Radio WGAM, The Game. We are speaking with St. A's head football coach Pat Murphy as part of our Tuesday St. Anselm Coaches Show here on the broadcast. Now, Coach, defensively, I think we can be in agreement, a little room for improvement, especially against the run. Bentley, 289 yards rushing in this football game, and well, I'll tell you what, they've got quite a stable of running backs when you look. You had Bobby Tarr, who broke that 75-yard touchdown. He had a couple of scores on the day. Even the quarterback, Dan Guadagnoli, was getting involved, 10 carries, 75 yards. Lorenzo Warren was steady with 9 for 49. Jack Pizzotti, I mean, the list goes on and on. How do you counter that kind of a blistering rushing attack?
I was, that was probably the biggest disappointment from a defensive standpoint the other day is that we didn't handle the zone read very well, and it's something that they see week in and week out in practice against us, and I don't think we performed particularly at the linebacker position as we should have. And, we just have to, anytime you play an option team, which is a zone read team is an option team, you have to be accountable for all 3 phases, dive, quarterback, and pitch. And we didn't do a good job of that the other day. Our coaching staff made some adjustments, and we settled down in that area after halftime, aside from the long run. We had one the one long run in the second half hurt us, but outside of that, we did a pretty good job the rest of the game on the run game.
A couple of players who stood out, and it seems like every week we're mentioning his name. Chris Bent, 1, and 2, the newcomer Jack Hopkins. Both had interceptions, and both led the team with 13 total tackles. Every time I looked up, it seemed like either number 40 or number 27 was around the football on Saturday.
Sure. I mean, and hopefully you're going to see 27 around the ball for the next 3 years. Jack's a great football player. He's a freshman. He's got a lot to learn. but he loves contact. He's a very good athlete, can make tackles in space, and he's extremely physical. Chris is at the tail end of his career and is playing Mike Backer after moving from outside to inside, and he's doing a great job for us. He's the glue that's kind of holding everything together over there, and everyone rallies around him on that side of the ball.
2 home games in the book, both under the lights, and pretty good turnouts despite the misty, overcast type weather we had on Saturday. This time, 1 o'clock, afternoon game, first time up on the hilltop this season, and it's also homecoming against Pace. What kind of an atmosphere should we expect this weekend?
I'm expecting a pretty packed place. Homecoming here is something special. They do a great job here on campus. We usually have great crowds, and I'm looking forward to seeing the alumni come back and watch us put on a good show on Saturday, and we're excited for it.
All right, what about Pace, Coach? This is a team traditionally, well, let's say it, not very good in Northeast 10 play. What about this season?
They're 0-6. So being 0-6 ourselves, we can't overlook anybody. We need to come out, handle our business, take care of ourselves, worry about our process, and things will work out well.
Anything specific in the works for this week?
We have to be accountable for what they're doing offensively. They're doing some pretty good things. They got some really good receivers. They got a real good young running back in a kid named Blair Wynn. We've got to play well defensively and make good decisions on offense, and I think we'll be all right.
The Blair Wind Project coming to St. A's on Saturday. Coach, we appreciate it. Good luck certainly on Saturday, and thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it.
That's head football coach Pat Murphy joining us live from the hilltop here on the St. Anselm Coaches Show, part of the Nick and Astis Show on Sports Radio WGAM The Game. When the St. A's Coaches Show continues, we'll speak with running back Keith Charles. 3-year starter and co-captain joins us next here on the Nick and Astis Show, Sports Radio WGAM The Game. So what's the plan for after work tomorrow? You coming out with us for the big game?
Nope. Finished the preseason at 3-0. This Friday will start meaningful games when they hit the road to take on the Providence Baby Bruins. The University of New Hampshire won their second straight game last weekend. With their 4-2 record, they've moved to 12th in the FCS. Meanwhile, Nico Storetti's been named the CAA Offensive Player of the Week by rushing for 126 yards and 3 touchdowns against Georgia State. His Wildcats will play their homecoming game this weekend against Richmond. The Boston Celtics finished their short 2-game tour in Europe, improving to 1-1 after beating Milano on Sunday. Coach Doc Rivers thought it was a good experience for his team.
Playing 2 games against opponents that you don't know, I think that was a very good thing for us because we had to figure it out. You could see just the camaraderie and the ball movement and the extra passes. I think our Celtic way is starting to get in their blood.
Seas will start their U.S. exhibition season when they play the Knicks on Saturday. The New England Patriots will have another day off today before coming in tomorrow to start getting ready for the Seattle Seahawks this weekend. In about 20 minutes, playoff baseball will get underway when the Cardinals will battle the Nationals in Game 3, where it's all tied up at 1. All 8 postseason teams will be playing throughout the day. I'm Justin Bastinelli. This Sports Center is brought to you by Capital Auto Auction in Manchester. Buy cars like the dealers do every Saturday beginning at 11 a.m. Find out more at CapitalAutoAuction.com.
Nick and Astis on WGAM The Game. Call 603-883-9900 and add to the controlled chaos. Sports Radio WGAM The Game.
This is the Nick and Astis Show. I'm Nick and Astis, Christian Arcan behind the board. Each and every Tuesday, 12:30 to 1. It's the St. Anselm Coaches Show. We just spoke with head football coach Pat Murphy as the Hawks prepare for their homecoming game Saturday, 1 o'clock. Against Pace University. Time now for the guest menu. It's brought to you by Brothers Restaurant and Lounge. At Brothers, they have the best Greek, Italian, seafood, and American dishes and have been serving families in Manchester for 40 years. The Brothers lunch menu is unbeatable. Every day from 11 to 3, everything on the menu is under $8. Soup, salads, wraps, subs, gourmet pizzas, stir-fry, lobster rolls, and more. Gigantic portions, all for under $8. Bring the family down to Brothers tonight as well. The dinner menu includes pasta and lasagna dishes, calzones, steak tips, lamb, and other specialty Greek dinners. Head to Brothers during the game to check out the Brothers Lounge. The Brothers Bar Special includes a 16-ounce draft plus an appetizer for $5.99. Potato skins, chicken tenders, buffalo wings, onion rings, and more. Brothers Restaurant and Lounge, 6 Willow Street in Manchester. Call 668-7333. Brothers Restaurant and Lounge, serving families in the Manchester area for 40 years. Ask about the WGAM special. See the full menu at brothersmanchester.com. And we're joined now on the Brothers guest menu by Keith Charles, St. A's running back and co-captain. Keith, welcome to the show.
How's it going? Glad to be here.
Well, thanks for joining us. Number one, talk a little bit about your role on Saturday night against Bentley, because you got involved a little bit more in the passing game as well as carrying the football, in fact, leading both categories, rushing and receiving for St. A's. How was your role expanded on Saturday?
Oh, yeah, well, with the way our offense is designed, the running back usually is involved in the passing and rushing game a lot. I play a pivotal role in that. It spreads the defense out, and it gives us a lot more options. So if we have the ability to run the ball and catch the ball, then we're deadly on the perimeter and running through the hole. So, yeah, I played a pivotal part Saturday, running the ball. Did what we did. I also had the help of Greg Bell. He's also a junior here, and between the both of us, we're just a combination to smash and dash. And once we get going inside, we can stretch the defense out on the perimeter. Well,
you brought up Greg Bell, which is a good point. Talk a little bit about the comparisons and the contrasts between the two of you.
Yeah, that's what we got a nickname for each other. He's Thunder, I'm Lightning, Smash Dash, whatever you want to call it. He's a bigger back in the spread offense, but he helps with opening up the gaps because with such a big frame, he comes in, runs a couple guys over, and that opens it up for everybody else. So he's a great contrast. He's a great asset to our offense as well.
I like the smash and dash a little bit more than thunder and lightning, just because it's been used so often. As Keith Charles joins us on the Brothers Guest Menu, part of the St. Anselm Coaches Show here on WGAM The Game. All right, Keith, it's been my now third year. This is my third year covering the squad. It's your third year with the squad. Talk a little bit about the progression of the football team, how you guys have improved over the last 3 seasons.
Oh, well, the major thing that we've improved on is attitude. The attitude in the locker room and on the field, off the field, has improved greatly since I first gotten here. We no longer play for, half the game, whatnot. We play for a full 60 minutes. Regardless of the outcome, we play all out. And we battle back. We don't give up. We don't hang our heads anymore. And that's the attitude that I've noticed change throughout the years. Also, guys are, willing to come to practice with positive mindsets and all that stuff. So we have a great group of young kids. So
what do you think is responsible for that change?
What's responsible for it? Honestly, it's just the leadership on the team. We have, great captains this year: Ethan Sylvain, Chris Bent, PJ Senator, myself included. We get on these guys a lot about being accountable for everything they do and playing every play like it's their last, because it could potentially be their last. So, but the leadership this year is definitely improved as opposed to previous years and stuff.
St. A's running back Keith Charles joining us on the St. Anselm Coaches Show, part of the Nick and Astis Show here on Sports Radio WGAM The Game. All right, Keith, you're still winless at 0-6. Has that tampered the enthusiasm at all, or are you guys still gung ho?
Oh no, that hasn't tampered with it at all. Coach Pat Murphy, he says this is his favorite team. He loves coaching because he doesn't mind coming to practice every day. Because we go 100%. There's never an issue with enthusiasm. And if there is even an issue, we nip it in the bud. Take care of business, and we're back to work.
I think part of it might be that you have been more competitive this season as well. Still winless, but you certainly haven't rolled over, to say the least. In fact, you've had fourth quarter leads in several of these games, and oftentimes it's been a one-score difference in the end. So has that helped to maintain that enthusiasm, the fact that you are improving week in and week out and hanging around with teams?
Yeah, the competitive mentality is definitely there. no longer rolling over, no longer, giving up. We fight for 4 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the record doesn't show it, but if you watch a lot of our games, then you can see that we're in just about every game. We're most of the time, like you said, we had the lead. We just have to capitalize and finish games, and we definitely will take care of that. It's something we have to take care of in the future, and we'll work on that over the years.
Homecoming is this Saturday against Pace. This will be your 3rd homecoming game. Is there something special about about homecoming, or is it overrated?
Oh no, there's definitely something special about it. It's a great atmosphere. Great atmosphere as guys come back. They want to see us do well. Some of the guys that I played with my freshman year that were seniors, they come back. Always enjoy watching us play. It's definitely a great atmosphere for us, and it also helps with the crowd participation and stuff like that. So.
Does that bring the best out of you, knowing that some of the older guys in the program, some of the guys who have graduated, are on the sidelines watching?
Oh yeah, definitely brings the best out because we have a lot to prove to them. They want to see us do well. They want to see what improvements we've made, and we definitely have to show out for them. So yes, it definitely does make an improvement.
You are listening to the St. A's Coaches Show. We're joined by Hawks running back Keith Charles. And Keith, how about Pace themselves? They're winless, you're winless. Something's got to give. What are you studying this week in practice when you take a look at that Pace defense, the guys you'll be facing on Saturday?
Well, with the Pace defense, they run a lot of our old defense, so there's nothing that we haven't seen before. We're going to find holes. We're going to try to pick them apart offensively with the passing game, and then we're going to switch it up and use the run game. A nice combination of both, But as far as the Pace defense, it's nothing we haven't seen before, but we will prepare hard, just like we do every week, for Pace as any other team.
Finally, Keith, how about the young freshman quarterback Andrew Murphy? How good can this kid be?
Yeah, I see potential in him every day. His potential gets even better and better every day in practice. He came in freshman, wasn't starting. He was kind of low on the depth chart, but due to injuries, he's played a pivotal role the last couple games, threw for 408 yards against Southern Connecticut. I think he just recently won Rookie of the Week this week, too, against Bentley. So,
yeah, that was about a half hour ago.
Yeah, exactly. So this kid definitely has potential. He's going to blossom over the years. He's definitely going to be a great player here.
Did you see that in practice from the get-go and said, you know what, maybe this is a guy who just needs an opportunity, or is that something that's kind of reared itself over the last couple of games?
You saw it peaking in practice, but the factor that made it even more apparent was giving him confidence. Once he got confidence, that was the factor that just he took it and ran with it, and he just opened up and showed what he could do. But yeah, as long as you give him a little bit of confidence, now he's on a roll. He's doing his thing. He's only a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
He's got plenty of time to play. He's getting more game experience, so that should definitely help for the future.
Keith, I appreciate it. Nice job, and thanks a bunch. Good luck on Saturday in homecoming.
Thank you for having me.
That's Keith Charles, running back and co-captain of the St. A's Hawks football team. And that was the St. Anselm Coaches Show, brought to you by St. Anselm College, which features 20 NCAA Division II programs, most of which compete in the highly competitive Northeast 10 Conference. With over 100 home games this season, there are plenty of chances to catch the Hawks in action. If you can't make it to the game, log on to StAnselmHawks.com and follow along with free live stats of every home contest. And better yet, be sure to check out StAnselmHawks.tv for live video broadcasts of every football, basketball, and hockey game, as well as other select events throughout the year. All right, hour one in the books. Hour two, we dive into basketball a little bit. The Celtics in action overseas, and they'll be in action this weekend stateside as they take on the Knicks Saturday. Who's looked good, who hasn't, who may make the cut? The rotation starting to come together. We'll examine all of that in the next hour. And the Jordan versus LeBron argument heating up with former Michael Jordan head coach Phil Jackson chiming in. What did Phil have to say? What do I have to say about it? We'll find out coming up in the second hour of the Nick and Asta Show. Special thanks to St. A's, Coach Murphy, and Keith Charles, Eric Copeland hooking that up. We appreciate that as well. More on the way next as the Nick and Asta Show continues on Sports Radio WGAM The Game.